Hey everyone, it's Jonathan from The Forge. Thanks for joining us today. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to take your photos and turn them into vector textures. Let's get into it. Okay, so now we're in Photoshop to make the gritty texture. Using photos of cement and this kind of stuff really works. So if you can go out and take some photos, that's what I do sometimes, go out and take some photos of cement and some interesting textures. But if it's a bit hard to go outside at the moment, if you want to test this out, you can go to websites like Unsplash and you can have a look at some textures here. There's a lot of people who upload cement textures and just whatever you want to make a texture out of, really. So that can work as well at the moment. Okay, now that we're in Photoshop and we have our cement photo that we want to turn into a texture, we're going to duplicate the layer once, just if we need to come back to it. So now that we have our photo selected, before we do anything, we're going to click Command 1 on Mac to zoom into 100% view. Because when we do the levels and we start adjusting the levels, this will be true to what it'll actually look like afterwards. So you want to come up to Image, Adjustment, Levels, and then from here you're going to bring this one up, and then you're going to bring this one down. So you can kind of start to see that it's already starting to make a texture because it's knocking out the background and it's just keeping these really grainy, gritty parts to it. So you want to bring this one all the way down to here, and then you can kind of just play around a little bit. You need to scroll around because you zoomed in so far to see what it'll look like. So you can bring this one down further if you want. Or if you want to make it crazy, you can bring this one up and then it'll become more textured. So here you can really just keep playing, keep having a look until you really have something that you're happy with, depending on how crazy of a texture you really want to make it. So when you're happy, you want to click OK. You can zoom back out now. So now that you've finished with the levels, you want to come up to Image, Adjustment, and then Desaturate. And that'll knock out any unwanted colors that you have in it, really. So now that you have your photo turning into a texture, you can come up here, select the bit that you want. You don't have to, you can select the whole thing if you want, but just for the design I'm doing today, I want it to be a square. Command C, and then bring it into Illustrator. And then Command V, and just paste it in. Now that you have this in here, it's still an image, it's not a vector texture yet. So we're going to come up, we're going to rasterize it just to make it a bit smaller. And then we want to come up to Window, Image Trace, and then Preview to see what it will look like. So just take a couple of seconds to load. Okay, now we can see what it's looking like at the moment, but it's still looking. The way that the computer makes it, sometimes you get these weird lines and it doesn't look very organic. So some of the settings that I recommend doing is ignore white, that will knock out the background. And then turn snap to curves to line off. That'll make it a bit more organic and circular. And then we want to bring corners down, and this will round everything out a bit more. So it's not as sharp, it looks a bit more real. Now you can play around with the noise, you can bring it down or you can bring it up. Just depending on your computer, this might use a lot of the CPU. So you kind of just play around with this until you see what you're really looking for, depending on the kind of text you want. And threshold, the more you bring the threshold up, the more it will take little specks from the original. So this will make it a more detailed texture now. So you can kind of just keep testing until you find something that you're happy with. So I quite like the look of that. Turn this off, trace, and then come up to Object and Expand. And now you have a vector texture, so you can change the color on this and everything, and it won't get blurry because of pixels. So now if you had a design and you wanted to put this over the top of it, to add a bit of a gritty feel to it, because it's a vector, you can easily just change the color of it now as well. So just add a bit of extra dimension to your design. And look at that. So that's a super simple way to take photos and turn them into vector textures that you can use on your designs. You can also package these designs up and sell them on different websites for designers. Thanks so much for watching today, guys. There might be another video popping up here or somewhere. Check that one out if you want to. Don't forget to like it if you enjoyed this video and subscribe for more content. Thanks.